Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Connecting During Crisis. My name is Joseph Luciano, alongside for Miss Carrick Lucky Queen, our co-host, Michelle Clark. Introduce yourselves, Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle Clark. How are you this evening?
We good, we good. Also, we got a special guest today, all the way from Philly Cam. He was a teacher of the Express Studio and also a producer of Money Matters TV. Please welcome Tim Millaway. Welcome to the show. Introduce yourselves.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Michelle.
What's up?
What's
Good to
up?
see you.
You too. We hear you were in Hong Kong.
Yeah, I'll ask that question. How was your trip in Hong Kong?
Hong Kong was really nice. Yeah. I mean, it was my third time there. My wife is from Hong Kong.
Mhm.
So this is this is not that, it's a usual thing that we go there. That was the first time I was there in 13 years. And
Wow.
yeah, it was but the toughest part about it was the jet lag, because it's a 12-hour difference in time. So it took me about a week to finally get acclimated, and then and then it was almost time to leave. So
Wow.
yeah, but it was really great. We saw a lot of her family, who because that's where she's from. So she has four sisters there, and she also had a brother who lives there also. So and then one brother was visiting from Vancouver. So we got together with a lot of, had a lot of Chinese dinners, or what they call is just dinner there. And yeah, and unfortunately, I don't like Chinese food. So um,
Mm,
so I might have lost a lot of weight.
that's good to hear.
So what
And I
did
don't
you do instead? What did you eat instead?
well, where there was Western food, I tried to get Western food.
Mhm.
Um and whatever was kind of that looked edible.
Okay.
Nothing that, had flippers on it. Anything didn't have tech you know
Tentacles.
tentacles on it. I stayed away from that. And anything green, or I could eat. Yeah. Like a vegetable, or fruit, or something like that. So that's what I mostly stuck with. Yeah.
That's good, Tim. Thank you. Today's topic we're going to talk about is scenarios. If you,
Scenarios.
yes, if you're scared to do something, ask yourselves. In question one, what's the worst that can happen? Let's go to you, Tim, since you.
Well, can you give me a type of scenario?
Hey, you can say. Go ahead. Yeah.
Like, okay. Well, let's talk about like a business call.
Okay.
That's stuff that I'm if I'm making a call to a client or something like that, you know, and there's that's things that I'm kind of nervous about. And so, like, yeah, of course, when before I make that call, I think that maybe I'll die before during the call, or you know, they'll tell me to go to hell, or you know, so that feels like the worst. That's my brain, right? So, but most of the time, what happens is, that you have a decent, productive conversation. But you know, um, but your mind tells you lots of things before you do something scary, right? So I'm not sure if that's where you're going
No,
with all.
that's good. No, you're good. That's good. That's good. Michelle.
Well, the worst thing that could happen is that I think my biggest fear is failing at something.
Mm.
Um, So no matter what it is, I think I would be really, really, really scared of failing. And what I do is like I try to uh, think about what could happen, and then I think about what will happen. I kind of put it like a pro and con list in my head. Sometimes I will write it down, but if I don't write it down, I'll say, well, this can happen, that can happen. And then I convince myself, I say, well, it hasn't happened yet. So stop fretting over it. Just do it. Just do whatever it is that's needed to be done. Because I think sometimes I let my fears like overrun my my thoughts, and then it won't get done. I'm like this. Oh well, I'm scared. I ain't doing it. But then maybe after some afterthought, then I think, okay, let's try it again. As they say, try again. You fall on your butt, get back on that horse. So that's where I am most of the times. You see me in action too. So you saw me fall and you saw me take a break and then get right back on track. And then didn't I do it? Didn't I? So that's how I operate when I'm scared of something. That's
Okay,
it.
that's good. That's good. My end, like when worst can happen, like I got read my book, take my time, watch the news, also keep track on stuff you gotta do, like get your program set for standby. Stuff happens when somebody don't show up in production. Have your script in hand in your hand all the time, so you never know who you get called from. Also check your personal calendar. So somebody don't show up in a meeting, some show up, pinch in a couple hours, and also and protect yourselves at all costs. And also, question two: what's the best that can happen?
Hmm. I win. I overcome my fear. Yeah, I win. Yeah. That's the best takeaway for me. Because when, like I said, I will fall off the horse, but I will get back on it. And the moment that I get back on it and I complete the task, whatever it is, it's like, whoo, pat on the back, girlfriend. I'm like really, I really feel really good when I complete something that I know was hard. Like I said in previous episodes, math is my kryptonite. And when I was in college, I mean, I was like in my 50s when I went back to college. So it was
Mm.
like math was really, really, really hard for me. And I failed math like at least twice in each sessions, but I finished. That was the takeaway. I still finished. I graduated. And twice I was on the dean's list and all of that, despite all the failures in the math. And believe me, once you see an F on your paper, like at the age I was, for once I was crying over a grade. It was like, I didn't pass. But I was determined to get my degree. So I just kept going back and they're like, why don't you quit? I'm like, nope, I'm paying for this. I ain't quitting. So, you know, so no,
What
I
was
was
your last, the
determined.
last? What was the last episode we were talking about? Never give up.
Yep. And I didn't. And I got my degree. I got my bachelor's. And like I said, math has always been my kryptonite. So the more complicated a math thing was, it was even harder. And what didn't help me was my health issues. So it was like, but I was determined. I was like, I don't care how many times I fail. I'm going to prove you teachers wrong. And I did. Yeah, nah, 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 nah. So I did finally get it. I mean, when you fail a class by 2 points, that is very frustrating.
All the time. That
It's
happens all
like,
the time.
ah! And I said, well, guess what? You can fail me this time, but the next time I'm gonna get those 2 points. And sure enough, by then I'll understand a little bit better. Maybe I needed to fail it to understand. I needed more time so I could understand the processes that these math questions were asking. It's like one of those kind of scientific thing where it's like 13 lines of math and addition, subtraction, plus division, plus negative and positive, and blah, blah. And then when you finish with all those numbers, the answer is 0. You know, it's things like that that got me, frustrated. But then after I failed it, and then I said, well, let's look over the notes that you have already, and plus the tutorers that I had. Yes, I did. I had tutoring, and
Mm.
and I went in other people's classes that I didn't pay for. Yeah, I did. But I was determined. I was determined to pass. So, I never gave up, and that was the best takeaway ever.
That's good, Michelle. Thank you for that. Tim.
Well, I want to ask Michelle a math
Yeah,
question.
go
What's 2,342 divided by 13?
0. I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't answer that. I need some paper and a calculator.
I just
All I
remember
know.
there was an episode of Friends. I don't know if you remember the show Friends, right? On
I'll
TV.
be there for you. That
Yeah,
one.
yeah, you got it. And Joey, who's character on the show, was an actor, and this one point he was um teaching an acting class, and
Yeah.
he said to the class, so if you ever want to look confused or something like that, all you have to do is divide anything by 13, and that's how he got his confused look for acting. And that's what he was teaching. The
And you
show was
know
fun.
what? He's right. Anything times 13 is not going to come out even, number one, because 13 is an odd number. So that's
Yeah.
one thing you should focus on. It ain't coming out even. Whatever you do by 13, it ain't coming out even. So that's the best answer I can give you. I can't give you the answer. I just know it's not going to be
I know.
even.
I know.
It's not going to be even.
I
A
know.
big number that's not even. Okay.
So, so anyway, yeah, like going. Of course, I agree with Michelle. Is like whenever you do something, despite how hard it is, you're going to really the best thing that's going to happen uh, is you're going to gain some confidence from whatever task that you're going to do. Because you've powered through something, and you work through it, and you work through your fears. Yeah, I got um this past year, I did the New York City Marathon. It was my 5th marathon that I ran, and I trained very, very hard for this. I even got a trainer, like Michelle had a tutor. I had a trainer, and so at one point I was running almost 50 miles a week, to train for this race. And now the one thing that has, like I said, this was my 5th marathon. The 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 worst thing that was happening during these marathons, I got so much anxiety that I could not sleep the night before. The first marathon I ran was Atlantic City, and the night before I could not sleep. I was sitting there, it's 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. You know the story, right? And I got so frustrated. I went on and now it's 6 a.m. and I went down to the hotel lobby. I was staying at the Ocean, whatever that is, hotel. And I Googled what to do if you couldn't fall asleep during during the night before a marathon. And it said, you'll be okay as long as you had 2 nights, good night sleeps the night before. So I ran that marathon, the Atlantic City Marathon, with 2 hours sleep.
Wow.
When it came to New York, I was extremely anxious. So I had bought some melatonin and stuff like that to help me, because this is what happens at every marathon. I cannot sleep. I get so anxious. And Sure enough, I could not sleep. 1 hour goes by, another hour goes by, another hour goes by. I was like, oh my God, this is the worst. You know, and the thing was, I did not get good night's sleeps the previous nights. So I was like, oh God. And of course, the more you're thinking about it, the more, the more anxious you get.
Yeah.
So I shuffled off. I got on the I met a friend of mine, and I was like dead tired. And I got on the Staten Island ferry, went across. We ended up waiting for 2 hours for the bus to come to take us to the start line. It was the worst, worst thing, because and I don't know, well, on that day, you wouldn't know, the temperatures were in the high 70s and the humidity was high, which is
Oh my
not great
gosh.
for running. So when I got up at that start line, I said, usually you have three goals. One is, the first goal is to, you're aiming time to finish, right? I had aimed to, from my training, my trainer said I should finish around 4 hours and 35 minutes, so that's a decent time, for 26 miles, right? The B plan was, okay, maybe I'll finish under 5 hours. The C plan was just finish. Well, when I got on that finish line and started running, I had all those A, B, and C. Then I went into a D plan, was don't go to the medical tent and don't fall down and just get through it.
Mm-hmm.
So 6 hours later, I crossed the finish line at Central Park, which was the worst time that I ever had for a marathon, which was like, over 6 hours. But I did make it through, and but it felt so good, you know what I mean? Despite that, I didn't reach any of my time goals, but
Right.
but
But you finished.
yeah,
You
despite
finished. You got through it and you
I
finished.
got through
And
it.
that
And
was your takeaway. Like, I did
that
it though. I
I
did it
did.
though. And plus, this is a marathon. Yeah, I did it though. I wouldn't run a marathon. I wouldn't run, but I don't know. I'm not a runner. So, but still, I would find that a very big accomplishment. Simple fact that you had no sleep, because you could have
Yeah.
gone to the medical tent and said, "Look, I'm too tired," and go to bed.
Yeah.
But no, you running like and you finished. So
And I didn't fall. I didn't
did
fall
you
too,
know?
because I was really nervous about that, because there's, when you're running 26 miles, there's certain precautions you got to take, because
Mhm,
after you pass 20 miles, right,
mhm.
your body actually depletes all of your nutrition, is completely deteriorated, because it happens with everybody, because
Okay.
that's the limit. When I talk about um the wall, did you ever hear about the runner's wall? I don't know, maybe it's just in runner circles they talk about this, that in other words, you get to a point where you're just like, a lot of people just give up, because their body, they've used everything inside. So
Mhm.
there's so you have to fuel yourself along the way. You get these little, um, you know, things, and you're supposed to take them at certain times, like every 4 miles and something like that. It's just to replenish the nutrients in your body, so that when you get to mile 20, you do not pass out.
Okay.
It's so, but
So
anyway,
it's more than just drinking water every few miles, right? It's
right. It's
okay.
yeah, you have to, and and that's another thing. You have to hydrate your body, and it's very taxing on the body. And but being without any sleep, you know how it is. Your balance is like, ooh. And then after people drink water, what
Mhm.
do? They throw the cup on the ground.
Right.
So there's those things were all over the streets. So when I got to that spot where people were drinking and throwing cups, I was like, okay, maybe I'll just walk through this area so I don't slip. But anyway, it was a challenging race. But I'm already signed up for Philadelphia Marathon this year,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
which will be my number 6.
Oh,
All right.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because you're
I was
proud
thinking,
now.
That's
And
what.
you know now, you taking notes. You know what to do, what not to do.
right.
Number one, go to sleep.
Well, this time I don't care. I'm taking Benadryl. I'm gonna take
Okay.
Benadryls. I'm gonna pass out. So
There you go. Drink
Do
some
what you
good
gotta
water.
do.
Some good water. Get some of the good water, like Crystal Geyser water. That helps you. Don't get one next to that water and stuff. Remember the news about the Philadelphia water?
Oh yeah. That was scary because it was like you knew about this hours before. Now you're gonna wait till the sludge or whatever that was floating down the river. When and they're like, oh, by the way, folks, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Please don't drink your water. But by then you already drank at least a gallon of it. You've taken your bath. You've cooked with it. And then it's like, as a matter of fact, I was cooking at the time when I got the call. And my daughter said, Mom, I'm cooking something and I just used the water, the tap water. What should I do?
Throw it out.
But she had already used it for cooking. It's already in the food. So it's like
was
he
that was the chemical?
yeah. So I was like, I'm not throwing away my food, and neither is she. Just keep it hot. Just keep it cooking and keep on stirring it. That's all I can tell you to do. And then they say, oh, by the way, it doesn't matter whether you boil your water or not. It's still a problem. Drink the bottled water. And I just happened to have some. She had some. So we were like, all right, we're all right with this. But I'm like, well, I wanted to take a shower. And they say, don't bathe in it either.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I
How
want
long
to be,
did that last? I that's when I was in Hong Kong. How long did that last?
oh, what, a day and a half, 2 days,
Day and a
almost
half.
two
Okay.
days. It didn't last long. And then they said, oh, it's okay now. It didn't come down to certain parts of the river. And they made it sound like all of Philadelphia was affected, but when it wasn't. It was just South Philly, North Philly, and Northern Liberties sections, those sections. But on the west side wasn't affected as much because I didn't know this, by the way, that there's two sources that we get our water from. So the 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 biggest portion of Philadelphia gets our water from the Delaware, but the west side gets their water from the Schuylkill.
Schuylkill, yeah.
And I'm like, ah, so my daughter was okay because she lives in West Philly, so they get their water from the Schuylkill, and we're closer to the Delaware. We're just like where I live. It's almost like 10 blocks from the Delaware River. Well, I'm like smack dab in the middle, 10 blocks from the Schuylkill to, we're right smack dab in the middle. So I'm like, I didn't know that. I learned something. See. And I was like, oh, so we get our water from the Delaware. They get their water from the Schuylkill, and so their water wasn't affected at all. I'm like, I'm coming to your house, hon. You're safe. She says, why? I said, because you get your water from a different river. So
The
hey,
unpolluted one.
well, I don't know about that because what was it?
Thank you for joining us today of our scenario topic. Join us on the next episode, on a second part on our scenario series, It Connecting During Crisis.